Hey, friend, I need to say something to you that your friends won't say. Your therapist is probably dancing around it, and that every other relationship coach out there with a following is too scared to say because they don't want to lose you as a follower, nor do they want to lose women like you as followers. Here's the thing. Your success, the thing that you've worked the hardest for, the thing that you are most proud of, might be the exact reason you are not in a relationship that you want today. Now, before you close this video, before you let your ego tell you that I'm wrong, I need you to stay because I'm not here to attack you. I'm not here to tear you down. I'm not here to tear down what you've built. But I am here to hand you the mirror that nobody else is willing to hold up to you so that you can see the reality for yourself. Okay? You've been waiting for someone to say this out loud. You felt it, that quiet, uncomfortable thing that you push down when another year passes and the relationship still isn't what you want it to be. Or when you come home and that house, it's big, it's beautiful, but it's quiet. And you tell yourself you like it that way. Now, maybe you do, but maybe part of you doesn't. And today we are going to go there. We are going to go all the way there. You ready? Let's go. All right. Well, my name is Rachel Davis, and I specialize in working with high achieving women, women who've built something extraordinary, the woman who she's running companies, the woman who's closing deals, the woman who's leading teams, the woman who's stacking her wealth. Yes, I'm talking to you. The woman who comes home to an empty house, or the woman who has that relationship that really feels more like a business arrangement than it does a love story, right? That relationship, it's functional, it's respectful, it's efficient, and it is completely hollow. Now, before you tell me that that's not you, I want you to notice what just happened in your body when I said that because your nervous system just told on you, okay? There may have been a little flicker, maybe something in your chest, something in the pit of your stomach, maybe in that place where you go that's quiet. That little flicker, it matters. And then we're going to come back to it. But what I want to also tell you is that this video is not about men. It's not about the dating pool or the apps or the algorithms or whether good men are hard to find. Okay. We are not going down that road today. This episode, my love, is about you and what you may be unknowingly doing with the best intentions, with the purest of hearts, that is costing you the love life you actually want. Now, I've worked with countless of high achieving women. I've sat in coaching sessions. I've led coaching sessions where women with seven-figure businesses were crying because they didn't know how to let someone love them, right? I've watched brilliant women, genuinely extraordinary women, self-sabotage the best relationships of their lives because they didn't know what they were doing and no one told them. So today, I'm telling you, all right, I'm going to give you truth today. I'm going to give you receipts today, receipts and everything else that goes along with it. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, nobody tells you this when you're climbing. Nobody tells you or pulls you aside, rather, when you get that promotion or when you close that deal or when you hit revenue milestones and says, hey, the habits that got you there, they will not get you love. No one said that because everyone was celebrating you. Your team is celebrating you. Your family was celebrating you. Your LinkedIn is popping, okay? And yes, you should celebrate because everything that you've built is real. Everything that you've earned is yours. You worked hard for it. And I'm not here to minimize a single achievement, but here's what happened while you were building. All right. You got really good at not needing anyone. And I want you to understand how that happens. because it didn't happen all at once. It was slow, it was incremental. Every time you handled something alone, it got a little bit easier for you to handle things alone. You got a little more capable. And every time you made a decision without consulting anyone, you got a little more independent. Every time you recovered from something without falling apart or having somebody there to help you when you were falling apart, you filed away that as evidence. I can do this alone. I don't need anyone. And at work, that is your superpower. That is exactly what got you into the rooms that you are in right now. But you didn't leave it at the office. You got good at solving problems alone. You got good at making decisions alone. You got good at recovering alone. You got good at moving forward alone. And you wore that like a badge of honor because in your world, needing someone was weakness, especially in the corporate and business world. I know for that to be fact. Maybe it was modeled for you. Maybe you watch other women in your life become successful, or maybe you watch other women in your life become undone because they were depending on someone. And you said to yourself privately, that would never be me. And now you're sitting here wondering why intimacy feels foreign, why vulnerability feels like a liability, and why every time someone tries to get close to you, you feel simultaneously desperate for it and terrified of it at the same time. That's not a dating problem. That's an adoption problem, an adaptation that served you in the boardroom and it is bankrupting you in the bedroom. I want to let that land before I move on because I think some of you are nodding right now and some of you are defensive right now. And if you're defensive, then that's a signal that I want you to lean in, not lean out. You've optimized yourself. You've optimized yourself out of softness. I mean, sis, think about it. Every year you got better, you got sharper, you got more decisive, you became less tolerant of inefficiency, less patient with people who couldn't keep up. You raised your standards professionally. And without realizing it, you imported those same standards into your personal life, even with your friendships. Think about it. Think about what it means to optimize your career, right? You cut what didn't work. You eliminated inefficiencies. You stopped tolerating mediocrity. You systemized. You streamlined. You protected your time. And then you bought that exact energy into dating. And now you're interviewing partners instead of dating them. You're auditioning men instead of experiencing them. You're risk assessing men, or I should say, you're risk assessing their vulnerability instead of allowing for it. Let me give you real examples of what this looks like, right? I had a client, brilliant woman. She's a VP level in her company, mid 40s. And she came to me because she was getting ghosted after like the third or fourth date with someone. And she couldn't figure out why. Because she said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she was like, I show up. I'm put together. I'm interesting. I ask good questions. I hold my own and I'm the bomb. And then I asked her, I said, well, do you let him see anything that isn't polished? Long pause. And then she was like, well, what do you mean, Rachel? I said, have you ever let men see you uncertain? Have you ever let them see you vulnerable or unsure, right? Do you ever make a man feel like you need something from him? Even longer pause. No, I don't want to come across needy, is what she said. And that right there, that's the trap. Because the men who are actually worth your time, they can feel it. They can feel that you have your guard up. They can feel that you're evaluating them. And even the most confident man will eventually stop trying to prove himself to a woman who's already decided that the jury is still out. You are not doing this on purpose. I know that to be true, but intention doesn't cancel out impact. And here's what nobody tells you about optimizing yourself in love. You cannot optimize your way into intimacy. Intimacy doesn't respond to performance. Intimacy responds to presence. And those are two completely different things. All right. So let me get specific because I don't do vague. I want to make sure I'm clear. And I want you to know the exact behaviors that high achieving women bring into relationships that makes them incredibly hard to love, even when they are incredibly lovable, right? So, number one, you overfunction. I filmed a video about that a couple of weeks back, but you plan everything, you fix everything, you anticipate problems before they exist, you solve them before anyone has a chance to try. You call it being proactive, being capable, being a great partner. And how do I know? I am so guilty of that. And I think I said that in my previous video. I always tell my husband, I need to think 10 steps ahead, right? Don't believe me? You can ask him. He'll tell you. I suffer from over functioning all the time, even with my son, helicopter parent. But the difference is that now, when I see it happening, I stop. I catch myself. I take my invisible cape down and I let him function for me, right? Because most of you think that it is a feature to overproduce, but in actuality, it's not. You send a very clear message to your partner, whether you mean to or not. And that message is, I don't trust you to handle this. I don't believe you can show up the way I need you to show up. Or rather than I let you disappoint me, I'll just do it myself. And over time, your partner stops trying. Why would he plan the trip when you're going to rebook all of the flights anyway? Why would he handle the logistics when you're going to go behind him and get another hotel anyway? You've already proven that you can handle things before, right? But what you don't leave room for is for him to handle and for him to show up for you in the powerful way that you want him to show up for you. And then you wonder why you feel alone in your relationship. You wonder why you're doing everything. Are you really alone in your relationship? Because you are making it crowded by bringing you and having him and bringing another version of yourself. I watch my clients do this all the time, right? They're very proud of their capability. And I'm proud of their capability as well, but that might be isolating them in their relationship. Number two, you test without telling. You set up situations for him, consciously or not, to see what he will do. Will he show up? Will he remember? Will he handle pressure? Will he call when he says he will? And you never tell him that he's being tested. You just evaluate. And when he fails the test that he didn't know that he was taking, you file that away as evidence, more data for the case that you're building against him. Sis, my love, that is not a relationship. That's a performance review. I want to ask you something. Have you ever in your career given someone a performance review without ever telling them what the expectations were? No, because that would be unfair. That would be a setup. And you would never do that professionally. But in love, you do that constantly. And the person on the other side of that has no idea what game is being played. He just knows that sometimes he feels like he passed and sometimes he feels like he's failed you. And he's never quite sure what the rules really are. That's exhausting. It's exhausting to be in a relationship with you. And the good ones, the emotionally intelligent ones, the emotionally sound ones, the secure men you say that you want, they will name it and they will say that this doesn't feel right. And when they do, they'll probably call it a red flag. It's not a red flag, it's a mirror. All right. Number three, and this one is going to sting a little bit. You are more comfortable being impressive than being known. Let me say that again because I need you to sit with this one. You are more comfortable being impressive than being known. You know how to walk into a room and how to command it. You know how to present your best self. You know how to be the most interesting, the most accomplished, the most magnetic and charismatic version of yourself. You've been doing it for so many years. It's practically effortless for you at this point. But being truly known, being seen in your fear, being seen and felt in your softness, in your uncertainty, in your need, the version of you that doesn't have it all together, the version that cries in the shower, the version that quietly, that's deeply lonely, the version that terrifies you. You've been that way for far too long. And you've learned that your worth is tied to your performance, that love was conditional on your output. that if you stopped being impressive, you would stop being chosen. And so you keep performing, even your most intimate relationships, even when you're exhausted, even when it's breaking you. You show up polished, you hold it together, you keep it together, you look flawless, and you make it look effortless at the same time. And you wonder why your relationships feel hollow. That's because they are hollow. And they're hollow because you won't let anyone in past the highlight reel. Here's the brutal truth about intimacy: it does not happen in the highlight reel, it happens in the behind the scenes footage. It happens in the moments that don't make the cut. And if you're only showing your partner the curated version of yourself, you're robbing him and yourself of actual connection. Now, I worked with a woman once who had been in a 2-year relationship with a man, and she genuinely loved him. She did. And she came to me because things were starting to fall apart. And when I was asking questions and doing an analysis and an assessment, what I discovered was that he had never in 2 years seen her cry. He's never seen her frustrated. He's never seen her genuinely uncertain about anything. She thought she was being strong, but what she was actually doing was keeping him out. Real intimacy requires you to be a little bit messy. Not all the time, not performatively, but real, actual, human. All right. Number 4, you've made yourself the prize and you've forgotten how to pursue. You know your worth. Culture has told you to receive your worth. All right. And you believe that you are worth it. And I believe it too. That's not wrong. But it took so far that you forgot relationships are reciprocal. You forgot that love is not a transaction where one person gives and one receives. It moves, it flows both ways. It requires both people to lean in. You stopped being curious about him. You stopped initiating. You stopped initiating sex. You stopped being warm because warm felt like weakness. Interest or being interested in him felt like desperation. Texting first felt like losing. And what he got was a trophy because you're beautiful, you're accomplished, you're impressive, and completely unreachable. So here's what I want you to understand. There is a man out there who wants to be chosen by you, who wants to feel like he matters to you, who wants to know that you're invested and that you're equally as curious, that you want to be in this thing with him. And if you never show him that, if you stay behind the glass wall of your standards and behind the glass perfect wall of your composure, he will eventually stop knocking. And you'll tell yourself he wasn't the right one. But was he? Or did you not give him enough of anything to hold on to? Now, I need to take you somewhere deeper because behaviors are just symptoms. And if we only treat the symptoms, then nothing actually changes, right? So, where does this actually come from, right? I've worked with enough women to know that when I start asking these types of questions, the real questions, the ones that don't have easy answers, it almost always traces back to one thing. Well, I would say 1 to 3 things. All right. The first, you learn early on that love was earned. So maybe it was a parent who praised your achievements and went quiet when you struggled. Maybe it was an environment where being strong was only the acceptable option. Because if you weren't strong, maybe your household ran on performance. Everyone was doing their job, playing their role, and love was something that existed in the background, assumed but rarely felt. Or maybe you watched the women around you get taken advantage of. That was me. You watched the women around you get taken advantage of when they were soft. And you made the decision somewhere at around 10 or 12 or 15 years old that you would never be vulnerable, that being soft was dangerous. Like you would never be like your mom or your aunt or your grandmother, or that needing someone left you exposed. And that decision protected you, right? And I want to honor that. It absolutely protected you. But here's what decisions made by a 12-year-old don't account for. They don't last. They don't expire just because you grew up. They become the operating system running underneath everything, underneath your career choices, underneath your relationship choices, the way you respond to someone when someone get close, the way you shut down when something feels off or maybe something feels a little too real. And that decision is still running your love life right now. The decision you made at 12, now you're 30 or you're 40. And you know what? Relationship is the second place in your life, where a relationship, a beautiful one, should be the softest place in your life. When you open up and when you're vulnerable and when you're warm and available and present and not used against you, right? I want that for you. I want that for you. Unfortunately, maybe you were soft and it just didn't work out. And the lessons that you took from it was never again. So you built this armor, and the armor worked, and it kept you from getting hurt. It also kept you from getting loved fully because love cannot get through armor, even armor that looks like confidence, even armor that looks like standards, even armor that looks like independence. Baby, it is still armor. And the heartbreaking thing about armor is that the person wearing it has usually forgotten that it's on. You've worn that armor for so long that it just feels like it's a part of your personality. You call it being selective. You call it having high standards. You call it not settling. And some of that is real, some of that is earned, but some of that is also armor. And you have to be honest with yourself about which is which. Third place, and this is the one no one wants to talk about, is that on some level, you don't believe you deserve a love that matches your success. Let me let that one sit with you for a second because I know some of you just bristled, so to speak. You know your worth. You know you're a high value woman. You know you have standards. You're not the woman who settles, right? And at the same time, when it gets real, when someone actually who's capable shows up and wants to go all the way with you, something in you hesitates. Something in you starts looking for exits, starts finding flaws, starts getting very busy. You start declaring that you're not ready yet. You need more time to heal. This doesn't feel quite right. I call this the deserving gap. And it is one of the most subtle and devastating things I see in the women I work with. You believe in your success. You can hold it. You can see it. You can taste it. You can touch it. You can measure it. You earned it. It's real. But love? I don't know. Love feels like something that happens to people, not something you can build or earn or control. And because you can't control it, part of you has decided it's safer to not fully want it. So you stay busy, you stay focused, you stay not ready yet, you stay healing indefinitely. There's always a reason. It's not the right time. There's always one more thing to figure out before you're ready to let someone in. But beautiful, here's the truth. You will never be done healing. None of us will. You do not get to graduate from growth and then receive love as a reward. Love is not the prize at the finish line. It's something that you build while you're in the process. And the longer you wait until you're ready, the longer you will delay it until it is delayed forever. So, what do you actually do with all of this, right? I know I said a lot, but because I know you, you're already taking notes. You're already trying to solve this thing in the same way that you solve for everything else with information and a plan, right? You want the 5 steps, you want the framework, you want the protocol. And I love that about you. I genuinely do. That brain of yours is extraordinary. But this is where I need you to put the pen down. This is not a strategy problem. This is a surrender problem. And I don't mean surrender like giving up. I mean, surrender like releasing control enough to let something real happen, like opening your hands, like choosing deliberately and repeatedly to stay in the discomfort of not having all the answers, of not having it all figured out. Because here's what actually has to change. One, You have to get comfortable being a beginner again. You're exceptional at everything. You've mastered it all. You know what it feels like to be good at all things. You know what competence feels like in your body, in your brain, in your being. And that's a beautiful thing. But love is not something that you've mastered. It might be something that you've never let yourself truly, fully try. And that's okay because you have to stop approaching it with the confidence of someone who already knows all of the answers because that confidence in the context is actually arrogance and it is closing doors before they even open. So, what does being a beginner look like? It looks like not knowing. It looks like asking for help. It looks like getting coaching. It looks like making mistakes. But it also looks like making mistakes and not catastrophizing them, whatever that word is, making it like a catastrophe. For some of you, the last time you were willing to be a beginner was something decades ago. And love might be asking you to go back to that place. Number two, you have to let people help you, not because you need help, but because receiving is a skill. And right now, you're terrible at it. And that's not an insult, it's a diagnosis. It's something that can change. You want to start small. Let someone plan the date without weighing in. Let someone carry something without reaching for it first. Let someone solve something for you that they could probably solve faster. And stay quiet while they're doing it. I want you to practice being held, not in big dramatic moments, but start small. Practice receiving a compliment without deflecting. Practice saying thank you instead of immediately reciprocating. Practice sitting in someone's care without rushing to balance it out. It will feel wrong at first. It will feel uncomfortable and icky and like you should be doing something, but that's how you know you need it. Three, you have to grieve the version of strength that has kept you safe. And this is the work nobody tells you about on the internet because it's not cute. It's not viral. It's not Instagrammable. It's not quotable. It doesn't make a good reel. It doesn't go viral. But you have to go back and find the version of yourself that decided being soft was dangerous. That little girl, that teenager, that young woman who got hurt and made herself a promise. And you have to sit with her now and you have to thank her because she was smart. She was adaptive. She read the room. She made the best decision that she could make with what she had. She kept you safe. She built that armor because the armor was necessary. And then you have to tell her it's okay. You can rest now. The war she was fighting, it's over. She and you both survived. You built something extraordinary. You've proved everything that you needed to prove, and you're still here in combat gear in a relationship that just wants to love you. That image gets my clients every time because it is so clear when you see it in that way. You are showing up to intimacy armed, ready to fight. That isn't. You're ready for a fight that isn't even coming. You're defending yourself against an attack that isn't even happening. And the person across from you, the one who wants to love you, is just standing there confused, wondering why he can't reach you. So, baby girl, put the armor down, not because the world is suddenly safe, but because you are now strong enough to know how to be soft. Four, you have to now redefine what strength looks like in love. Because the version of strength that you've been performing in your love life is not strength. It's control disguised as strength. And they are not the same thing. In your career, strength looks like, I don't know, not needing help, not needing anyone, managing your team, managing your responsibilities. However, in love, strength looks like being brave enough to need someone anyway. In your career, in your business, strength looks like controlling the outcomes. In love, strength looks like staying present when you can't control anything. In your business and in your career, strength looks like never showing weakness. However, in love, strength looks like showing your whole self, including all of the parts that you are still healing, the parts that you haven't told anyone about, the parts that you're not proud of. and trusting that the right person won't use it against you. And that's the hardest thing I will ever ask you to do. It will feel like jumping off a cliff. It will feel like everything that you've protected yourself against. It will go against every instinct that you've spent years developing, but it is the only thing that will actually change. Five, right? You have to decide that love is a priority, not a reward. Ooh, that's a good one. Most high achieving women treat their love life the way they treat their vacation time, like something they'll go to when everything else is handled, when business is stable, when the kids are older, when the workload lightens up. I don't know, what's another one? When they finally have capacity. That's a good one. That's a word high achieving women use, capacity. But the business is never fully stable. The kids are always going through something. The workload never really truly lightens, and love doesn't wait. Real connection, real partnership, it requires real presence. It requires being chosen on a Tuesday night when you're tired and there's practically nothing special about showing up for that person. But you do it. It requires showing up when it's not convenient, but because you chose to prioritize it. What would it look like if you brought the same intentionality to your love life that you bring to your career? Not strategy, intention, not auditing, presence, not performing, but you actually showing up. That's the question that I want you to sit with. I want to speak to the woman who's watching this alone right now. Maybe it's late. Maybe you just got home from a long day of being everything to everybody. Maybe you poured yourself a glass of wine and opened up your laptop and this popped up on your feed and something made you click, right? Maybe you're in a relationship that looks fine from the outside, but feels so god awful empty on the inside. Instead of lovers, you're like roommates. You respect each other, you're functional, you're polite, but he's safe. You're not alive. You're not alive in the way you want to be alive. Or maybe you're single and you have stopped being surprised by it, which in itself is its own kind of heartbreak. I see you. Not the version of you that shows up to the next meeting, not the version that answers all the emails and hits all the targets and then make it all look effortless as we tend to do. Not the version with the highlight reels. I see you, the version that is quietly, privately, desperately tired of doing life alone. That woman, the real one underneath all of that success, she deserves love. Not in spite of everything she's built, not after she's finished healing, not when she finally figures out how to be less intimidating or more available or whatever the latest advice is that she's getting out here from these internet streets. Right now, as she is. But here's what I need you to hear before this video ends. You will not get the love that you deserve until you believes that she deserves it. Not intellectually, not as a concept that she agrees with, not in theory, not I know my worth as a cute caption over a photo, but actually believe it. I want you to believe it in your body, in your choices, and who you show up and how long you let that version of yourself stay. I want you to show fully up for yourself, one foot out the door, walking step by step, closing the gap in between where you are and where you want to be in love. All right? It is a need for you to be able to truly, fully experience love the way you deserve. Here's my hope for you, and I mean this genuinely. The woman who do this work fast changes because you are already someone who goes hard at no matter what you put your mind to. You already know how to be all in. You already know how to be excellent at the things that you commit to. You just have to decide that love is worth going all in on. And then go all in fully. Not when it's safe, not when it's guaranteed, not when you're sure it's going to work out, but I want you to go all in fully now with the faith that you, of all people, can handle whatever comes next in life and in love. So here's where I land with you on this topic today. You are not undateable. Let me be very clear about that. You are extraordinary. The love life you want is not out of reach. It is not behind you or behind some wall of transformation that you haven't done yet. It is not being held by the universe until you feel worthy of it. It is available to you. It might have been available to you for quite some time now, but it will not come from more information. It will not come from another course. It will not come from another podcast. It will not come from another reel that tells you to be a high value woman without ever telling you what that actually costs you to become her. It will come from doing the real work, the uncomfortable work, the kind of work that doesn't go viral, but absolutely changes your life. Now, if you heard yourself in this video, if something I said today landed somewhere real, I want to invite you to take the next step. Not because you're broken. You're not broken at all. Not because something's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. I want you to know that nothing is wrong with you. But because you've been carrying something heavy for a very long time and you deserve support that actually meets you with where you are, not where you wish you were, not where you think you should be by now, but actually where you are. The link to work with me is below. Read it, sit with it, go to the page, think about it. And if it's for you, if I'm for you, reach out. And if this video gave you something today, share it. Send it to at least one woman in your life who you know who needs to hear this. Not because something's wrong with her, but because something extraordinary is possible for her. All right? I'll see you in the next video. And remember, always remember, stay beautiful.